Welcome to Grand Blanc Watchdogs podcast, now being broadcast on CCN Metro Flint News Talk Radio. Your host, Lonnie Adkins.
And Monica Shapiro.
So, Monica, lots of things going on, recent storm and everything. What do you have for us today? Let's talk Grand Blanc.
Let's talk Grand Blanc, but I want to say welcome back, Lonnie.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, it's been a slog, Lonnie. I've done it all.
You've done a great job. A great job.
But I do have two great interviews coming up. One with the man we'd all like to hear from at this juncture after the floods. I've got Drain Commissioner Jeff Wright for a full half hour. And I tried to ask him all the questions we have, but you couldn't possibly get to them. But I got some answers out of him, and you'll be interested to hear, I'm sure. And then the other one I had was the expert on the ambulance situation. And that's Bruce Trevithick, who's the head of the Genesee County Medical Control Authority, which oversees everything to do with EMS or works with EMS. And he's the executive director of that, and he knows all about these exclusive contracts that we decided we would never have in Grand Blanc Township. Dennis appeared before the board and said, that's something we will never have here. And Bruce Trevithick has a lot to tell us about why that might not be good. But what were we talking about before? They should bring those experts before the board.
So why do you think, so you're doing a lot of the background investigative work, you're bringing people on, the experts per se in the county. Why do you think that the supervisor or the board, why do you think they wouldn't bring these people into the board meeting, an open public meeting, and say, hey, come prepared with your questions and let's ask these people? It's almost like they keep all this hidden and they don't even have the answers themselves. And here's case in point. Some comments after the flood on, some of the social media pages were, hey, you got various roads. I'll use one for example. Cook Road was closed down, lots of flooding. A lot of residents over there were taking to social media and asking questions. Clearly, the board didn't have the answers. So what do they say? Mike Yancho and Scott Bennet. They both said, well, here's your county commissioner in that area, Sean Shoemaker. Here's his contact info. Good luck. Good luck.
They really did say good luck.
Yeah, and Scott even made a comment to a resident that their comment was snarky in nature. It was snarky. So
yeah,
I don't know
the one that was
if my area is flooded, I think I have the right to start getting snarky considering the level of taxes we pay. And this has been an ongoing issue. This is not the first time we've had floods. This one was, more a little bit bigger, I'd say.
Ask yourself. It always seems to come down to we have to go to the homeowners to pay for these major jobs. The county doesn't have funding for it. The township doesn't have funding for it. We have to go to the homeowners. But in addition to the taxes we pay, isn't that supposed to have them have funding for it? What are they doing with our money if not using it to fund projects like this?
Well, I know.
So that we don't have to pay an additional tax.
I know.
And Jeff Wright would be the first to tell me that's, and they all like to tell you, oh, that has to all be decided at the legislative level. But, and it's all very confusing up there. Well, but let's try and look into it. Mr. Wright mentioned the statute 40. They like to say Act 40, and there was, and in the case of the homeowners association trying to get a road done, there's some act that it's PA Public Act 188, and it's a very easy to read act that explains how you have to do road repairs in your neighborhood. And so they cite that, and they cite statutes sometimes, and if you don't go and read them yourself, you don't have the information because they just make it up. That's what happened in the Warwick meeting. They just made up the numbers. They made up what the statute says. It was amusing.
So all this work that you're putting in and you're reviewing these statutes and you're talking to, the right people that have this information. Again, it goes down to what drives me crazy is those are not our per se our direct representatives, right? Our direct representatives in Grand Blanc Township is this township board, okay?
Right.
So why are they not being our voice? It's just like your
Our
local senator
advocates.
or congressperson. They come to their district, they talk to their people, and then you would hope they go back to Lansing and say, "Hey, I want to look at this, this, and
I
this."
had one
They
of
don't
those.
say, "Hey, call the governor." Hey, well,
Here's the
here's
governor's
Whitmer's
phone.
here's Whitmer's chief of staff's number. Good luck.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Wow.
this is direct representative. These are the people that were elected in this township, and it's like
To
they are
to
either
schmooze with the
afraid,
people.
right?
Yeah.
They either are afraid to go to the county, and the other thing that drives me crazy is I always like to say this. I know people don't like to hear it because it sounds a little aggressive, but what is the? I always go back to we like to brag and say we're the largest tax base in the county.
Yeah.
What's the benefit of that if you can't flex it a little bit,
You've
right?
always said that.
I
Flex.
believe in that, because that means more revenue goes to the county, which means we should have a bigger seat at the table and a bigger voice. That's just how it goes. Okay, so why aren't we, uh, you know,
Taking advantage
taking
of
advantage of
that.
that, saying, "Hey, my constituents, I want a meeting. I'm representing them. I want to find out what
Exactly.
you need to do more for
Well,
us."
okay, but look, on Grand Blanc Uncensored, there was that post that Scott made that said he had met with um, Jeff Wright many times, and that one guy said Scott really kept his Jeff Wright's feet to the fire on this or something, and and then he posted that they'd had 2 or 3 meetings and realized that the cost to update that drain system would be $8 million, and they just couldn't see spending that money. He was saying, I did meet with the guy. I tried to advocate for us, but what they came up with was a project that would cost $8 million. But why? Okay, it costs $8 million. Fix it. Go get the $8 million.
Well, before you say go get it, their solution is always go to the residents to go get it, right? And
Right.
that's the other thing
The
that really
trouble
needs
is we'll
to,
have it's too much to assess these taxpayers. Yes, it
yeah.
is. In fact, it is when they're already paying a pretty hefty tax
Well,
that
what
should
drives,
be the budget that you use to do these things.
but the other part that drives me crazy, Monica, is it's like it's that rabbit hole that you can just keep digging into with no end in sight. It's that for two things, right? One is every with this administration, everything. I mean, if they had their way, there would be 10,000 special assessments. Everything is a special assessment.
Right.
Oh, you need that fixed? Special assessment. Oh,
They make it like slave labor to get it done.
yes, yes.
Unpaid volunteer labor
And they
to defend.
And you better have your I's dotted and your T's crossed because they're looking for every reason to reject it. Edged sword. Oh, you want that done? Go put in the work, get the signatures. You be the bad guy to your neighbors.
Guy to your
And then when you turn it in, oh, you're gonna have to go back to them again. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's comical.
Yes.
It's how do you say no a million times without actually saying no, right? You just put up, it's just like in business, right? Each layer of management or each chain up to like the CEO, their job is always or they say their job is to knock down your roadblocks, knock down your roadblocks. These people build them.
Yes.
You know what? And the funny thing is, they don't ask for a special assessment to build the roadblocks, but they just put up more and more and more roadblocks
Yes.
to insulate themselves for
Yes.
every single issue.
Right. Insulate themselves. Exactly.
That's got to be it because
That
they
is
won't
what they
take an
do.
issue head on and bring it to conclusion.
That's true. All right. Time for a break. When we come back, Lonnie and I are going to talk a little more Grand Blanc, and then we're going to talk more drains, and then we're going to bring on Jeff Wright, Genesee County Drain Commissioner.
I mean, unless it's something that they birthed.
This tech village, which, you know,
Oh God, we've been hearing about that for years, Monica. I mean, there's land for sale, there's land being given back, being
exactly.
donated. Where is it?
They're now building the road. They have this couple that owns it now, and they're putting in infrastructure. But at the same time, Lonnie, all that we all the money we put into that district went for a DNR grant to put a bike trail in there.
Mm,
A grant for them, well funded them.
right.
Why aren't we using that grant for the Grand Blanc Road project to get those people, cycling and riding to the park? That was the most ridiculously obvious project when they widened that road. Everybody would have flocked to that project to fund it. All kinds of programs would have helped us fund a project like that. MDOT was highly in favor. MDOT itself advocates active transportation as one of the 5 major forms of transportation that they are responsible for. Yes, them. It's supposed to come out of some of it's supposed to come out of Michigan transportation funds. So there was all sorts of funding avenues, and these guys just said, no, we're not doing it. And now to do it, it's going to cost 2 million probably. Whereas when it was a part of that major widening, it could have been 300, 400,000 added on, which is coincidentally the amount we could have gotten from the DNR grant at the time. It's a perfect case in point of what you say, Lonnie, that if it's their idea, okay, they'll figure it out. At the time of the Grand Blanc Road project, they kept all the people I spoke to at MDOT, all the people I spoke to at the Michigan Transportation Fund, those people, those high level people that said, yes, we would fund this. This is a good idea. All those people said, you have to get the township to ask for it. So what did I do? Little, publicly interested person that I was, I appeared before the board several times saying, this is a project that would be very eligible for many things. Let's go for it. It would serve a huge portion of your population. Let's try. And what did I get? I got people not making eye contact with me, and a letter from Dennis saying if they had a perfectly good plan. If I had some other plan, I'm welcome to try. And I'd already been told at high levels I couldn't try. But it's just what you say. You cannot sway them at a public meeting. You can't even come before them and say, there's all sorts of funding. All you have to do is either enable our group to try or get a grant writer to try. And when it's the DDA, they got a grant writer to try, but not for this beneficial project that would have really done something for a number of residents. It makes me crazy. You're right. We cannot sway them by appearing at public meeting. They don't make eye contact. They laugh. They send snarky letters. Talk about snarky, Lonnie. You wouldn't believe what I got for my pains of circulating a petition in that apartment complex and getting the people to say, yes, we do want this. 5,000 strong in this place. I didn't get 5,000 signatures, but I went, one day and I got 140, and it didn't matter. Nothing mattered. They weren't going to even try. Not because a resident came and asked. It has to come from them.
Well, I oversimplify things, but I just don't know. We talk about master plans and all these things, and we know we have them in place. A lot of work and money go into them, but to me, there's like the master plan that's like way out there, right? It takes a lot. Maybe it's a 5-year, whatever. But as a board, why can't you just have something real simple? Like, here's 3 things. Here's 3 things I know majority of the community want. They don't want to flood anymore. They want their roads better, and they want their parks, right? I mean, we know there's 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 things, right? But
Etched.
so why can't you just there's the strategic plan that you're always working toward in the background at an operational level, but why can't you just say, here's 3 things that I know the residents, and these 3 things or 4 things, they've been hearing them
Don't.
for like years,
Yes.
years, okay? And just beat the hell out of those 4 things and say, I'm going to make progress.
And there's many
I mean,
avenues to try to follow.
is it that hard? I mean,
And
it's
balance. And my thing is always, you have the revenue coming in. Stop wasting it on the consultants and such. Just stop it. Hold your money back. And here's what I think. They pay a consultant to come in and run the strategic planning sessions. and it's a workshop for the board, and and so it's kind of a closed door meeting of the board
Mhm.
with a consultant telling them what's what. Who knows if the information is accurate, and who knows if it's anything the public might be interested in as well, and whether we would have wanted them to vote differently if we knew about it. And they have these closed door strategic planning sessions, which really have zero. What they come up with in the strategic plan is laughable when, if you think of it as any kind of implementation of what was in the master plan.
But all these consultant
And so we've
firms,
got a consultant. We're paying this guy to educate the board in dentist speak.
well, why not? I mean, the best consultant for these guys are the residents of Grand Blanc Township.
The
They've al-
residents.
they've already given them a mandate on 3 or 4 things. Go
Yes.
do it. Why are you
Yes.
sitting in with these
Yes.
consultants? And I've been
And
in some of
speaking
these
of
things.
which,
These
and
people come from outside the community. They come in, and all their job is to do is to A, get paid, but B, is to just put out a whiteboard and start stimulating ideas. But your ideas are already there because your residents have already told you this is
yes,
what I want.
yes, via 750, more than 750 people responded to the master plan survey, which was sort of like the last survey you're going to have, folks. Fill it out, and we'll do a master plan survey that reflects what you want, which did happen. But then they went and decided that they needed another survey because really what they were trying to do in the strategic plan didn't exactly line up with what the 750 respondents to the first master plan survey, the locally generated survey, didn't line up with what they were doing in the strategic plan. So they commissioned for $130,000 a special company to give them a survey that 300 people responded, and they got the results they wanted. So they paid money to get another survey that gave them better results. And then there was Dennis in the paper the next day saying, folks are thrilled with what we're
Thrilled.
doing.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Folks are thrilled, especially technology part.
Keep redoing the survey till you get the results you want. So yeah, well,
Cost to taxpayers.
they're clearly following their vision. So, are they staying on track? Yeah, with their vision, but nobody really knows what it is because it's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. But
And a little bit of saving their friends, their
yeah,
business.
but why
There's
aren't
a
they?
guy that wants to make an office park in the middle of a very bucolic residential area. He bought up one, it's all 10-acre lots, and he bought one 10-acre lot, and he wants to put an office building there. And they fought, the people didn't want it to be zoned commercial. And they changed the zoning on the people so that this guy could build his building,
Uh,
instead of them being able to, yes, indeed, fight off a thing like that.
well, we've seen this. Look,
And I've seen the FOIA about the emails they had back and forth about it. It's kind of, um, what they were saying was things like, how can we stop them? Can we get Laddie to say that we'd be vulnerable to a big lawsuit? They're strategizing against these people who don't want an office
there's
building
that.
in their neighborhood.
There's that effing word again, lawsuit, because it scares. That's what they use it as just a tool to scare the community, right? Everything is, oh well, if we, here's the
You
thing.
should hear,
But
you
it's so funny. Well, if I side with the residents, we might get sued. I mean,
yes,
that's basically what it is. I
yeah,
mean, yeah, that's not the exact words, but that's what it always comes down to. Well, if I side with the residents and don't side with this business guy that wants to build something, then we're
yes,
going to get sued. Well,
yes.
sometimes you just get
I wish
sued
the
and you find.
residents would sue,
Yeah,
but we
I
don't
mean,
want to. Residents aren't like that. Apparently, these business people he deals with just love to sue.
well, I mean, if I was coming to this community to build a gas station, I would sue.
Yeah.
I mean, that's to
They,
me, that was bad policy and that was questionable policy, putting
yes.
a moratorium on gas stations
Yeah, of all the things.
of all the things. But,
I,
yeah, some of the things that are being done are questionable for sure. But, how do we get, okay, so back to the drains thing, you would think after this there'd be some sort of follow up, some sort of meeting. What are we going to do? How do we fix this problem?
the drain?
Yeah, I mean, what's
An open town meeting. This is a crisis. We're having a special board meeting. Everybody come. We'll have Jeff Wright here. We're going to address this
yes.
meeting. Where is that meeting when this happens to our community? Every community is other communities are facing this, but we're a big community with a lot of power, apparently. Why aren't we facing it? We should be at the forefront of facing it. All right, when we come back, Grand Blanc Watchdogs is bringing you Jeff Wright, the Genesee County Drain Commissioner, speaking to the people as we all wish he might have done at an open public township meeting. All right, we're back. And before we get into the interview with Jeff Wright, I want to say that since I spoke to him, I have familiarized myself with Public Act 40, which is the Drain Code of 1956. So I know a lot about, I know what he was talking about. I understand the funding mechanisms, and the bad news for us in all those residents who face flooding, residents throughout Michigan who face flooding, is there is no set fee that you're paying that covers storm drains. We pay a sewer fee for our sanitary sewers. And Mr. Wright makes that point several times to me, and I resist and say, can't the township help pay for that if it's a special assessment district issue, that it's similar to what we have with the road commission? It is, in fact, similar to the funding mechanism. The only funding mechanism for local streets is similar to the only funding mechanism for storm drains. You, the residents, have to get together and decide to pay for a better storm drain system in your district. Just how it works. My point, and my point throughout this interview with Jeff Wright, but he does not want to be the one to say, oh yes, get your township to pay for it. It's not up to him. It's up to us to clamor and say, use some of our general fund money to help us with this. As a well-funded township, figure it out. As well, the township could assist with information for the people that are in these districts. Identify, what district am I in? How would I go about passing a petition amongst my neighbors to get this done? What would the threshold be? What can we all get estimates for our districts? Because apparently this estimate that we're talking about, that's $8 million, is just one small piece of the flood area down at the north end of town. So we need an open meeting where people can get real information about how this is done, and even that the township won't do for you. And when I talk about us going so far into debt for the $28 million sanitary sewer project that benefited only the south end of town and the DDA district, we wouldn't need that extra capacity right now if we weren't trying to build factories and new multifamily residential housing in that district. We could probably keep going on our 80% of maximum that we currently have, that's working pretty well throughout. Our sanitary sewer systems are not overflowing. Our storm drain systems are overflowing. So we went into $28 million of debt for a project that can only be paid for out of our sewer rates. So we are, whatever our sewer rates are now, they're never going to go down. We're all paying more for our sewer rates forevermore because we decided to take on this debt. We're paying 74% of a project that benefits other communities and Oakland County. And no, we don't get it back when those people decide to tap into the big drain we provided. No, they pay their tap-in fees to their own townships to get this done. The pipe is there, we put it in, and they can do their tap-in fees however they want. The capacity fees, if Oakland County wants to increase their capacity, they have to pay us back for the 10 million that we added to it. we don't get money back when other communities tap into this thing. We do get money back when Oakland County says, yes, we want more capacity. And when I refer to the lie told by Mr. Bennett at the meeting that where they justified the $28 million debt that we were taking on, is that he said that it wasn't just for the DDA. It wasn't just for the projects at the south end of town. It was going to help with the flooding problems at the north end of town. Specifically, Fenton Road was mentioned. Anyway, that I feel that our sewer rates are high and they're not going down because we did this. But it doesn't have to do, the township's priorities are just, they don't care if what they spend out of the water funds. It's apparently a very well-funded part of our system. We pay enough in sanitary sewer fees that we can pay off this debt and supply sewer capacity for other communities in Genesee County and Oakland County as well. Here is my interview with Jeff Wright, Genesee County Drain Commissioner, following the terrible flooding that we had last Saturday, a week ago today. Welcome, Mr. Jeff Wright, Genesee County Drain Commissioner for how many years, Mr. Wright?
How old are you?
I am 69 years old.
Well, I haven't been there quite that long, but
That's
I've been
good.
drain commissioner since 2001. And I
25
worked at the
years.
drain commissioner's office in several capacities for 23 years before that.
And in most of the circles I travel in the world of local government, the name Jeff Wright is very solid, very respected, and very trustworthy, and a good drain commissioner. People are very pleased with how you ethically handle these questions.
Well, I appreciate those statements. I don't know where you found all those
Well,
people to say it, but
I
thank
know
you
a
very
lot of,
much.
yes, yes. Um, in fact, the most recent was Kathy Lane. So she's a character that we talk about on the show. Okay,
I know
so
Kathy.
um, before we get any further, I want to remind folks that I understand your communities are struggling to the same degree with all that we are contending with here in Grand Blanc Township. But what I know is Grand Blanc, and our north end was particularly hard hit with major property damage and lake-like flooding on streets in Williamsburg Farms and many other subdivisions. And as drain commissioner, your feet are to the fire on this. The people are angry about the flooding in Grand Blanc Township. Scott Bennet was apparently satisfied with your conclusion that it would cost $8 million to fix, and per his statement on social media, this is not what you said, this is what he said. There is just no way to pay for that, and the tax assessments would be unreasonable. So he went on to say that a meeting would be held sometime in the future and possible lower cost alternatives would be discussed. And I assume that the people would be doubly angry to have their needs addressed with halfway measures. So it's not just Grand Blanc Township, but countywide and statewide. You have stated to me that even an updated system, well, I want you to tell me, not just Grand Blanc Township, but countywide. We agree that there was a terrible flooding incident this past Saturday, correct?
Well, that was quite an opening statement. I guess the question is, did we have a big rain? Yes, we had a
Yes, we
very big rain,
did.
and and it was a very not localized system. It's all of southeast Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, the Grand Blanc Township, City of Grand Blanc, Linden, southern tier of Genesee County, Atlas, Argentine, Fenton, got well over 5 inches of rain, which is a heavy rain event in about a 10-hour period from Friday night till Saturday morning.
How does that compare?
And that was on top of rain for the first 3 days before Friday. We had rain all week long of approximately 3 inches. So you had previous rains during the week that saturated the ground, and then a 5-inch rain on top of that that did cause severe flooding in multiple areas. I know that doesn't do a lot to satisfy the people that have problems. There's no doubt about it. But the reality of the situation is, in this kind of rain event, many of those same areas would have still had flooding, maybe not as severe,
Okay, that's
but
where
there are
that
no.
brings me to the
Can I
question.
finish, please?
All right, I want you to just say that again, though. Even an updated system.
Listen, I'm serious about, let me finish my statements. I let
Okay.
you finish. Even if we had an updated system, there are certain rain events that can overload Mother Nature. A different way to look at that is, no matter how big or how large we build a drainage system, Mother Nature can dump more rain than that system can handle if she wants to.
True.
And that is why there is no guarantee that even if we spend the $8 million that is currently projected in the one instance over Maple and Fenton Road area,
Mm.
that some of those houses still wouldn't experience some flooding levels.
Some flooding.
Yeah,
Okay. So, but not this kind of flooding. And
I can't say that.
you
I
can't
won't
say
say
it. You
that
can't promise it. You don't promise
because
it. But
there's
how
something
old
else you're
are
not
the
taking.
drains?
I didn't get on here to
All
argue
right.
with
All right.
you.
All right. Go ahead.
Please.
Yes.
There are some properties in this area that are in basically a pothole. They're the lowest spot. I've got a measle map that shows some 20 different properties out of several hundred that are in such a low spot that everything around them drains to their property. So they're at a disadvantage to start with. Frankly, in my opinion, 40, 50, 60 years ago when those houses were built, those particular low spots shouldn't have gotten the permit to build in the first place. The bigger point is, no matter how big we build a system, Mother Nature could dump 10 inches of rain on us next time, or 18 inches of rain like they did in 1986 when I was an inspector and flooded everything in the county, not just this area.
What did you do when that happened? Did you then update those systems, or you're saying that this?
Many of them went through a petition process. Many of them did upgrade. Uh, Many of them we have no and still don't have any control over because there's an assumption made by potentially you and others that every drainage system out there belongs to the Drain Commissioner's office. That is not accurate. As a matter of fact, we have about 1,500 drainage systems throughout Genesee County. There are close to 9,000 drainage systems total. Many of them fall under the jurisdiction of the Genesee County Road Commission. Many of them fall under the jurisdiction of Michigan Department of Transportation. Many of them fall under the
All right.
jurisdiction of the cities that they live in, like City of Grand Blanc, City of Fenton. Not every drainage problem that you're talking about
Is your
is the
problem
result of a
of
county
something you
drain
did?
commission.
Yes.
Or, no, not me, the
Or your
office.
office? Yes. And I did want you to make sure and be able to get that point across because it's true. But, and you also didn't want to get involved in my irritation with our leadership over not handling this better. And that's I
Well,
think you
first of
called it
all,
a
I don't
pissing
know.
match between.
I did call it a piss and match between you and the administration. And the
Yes.
main reason I don't get involved is because I don't know both sides of the story other than what I hear from one side. So I don't want to have an opinion based on one
One
person's
side.
view.
No. All right. On that note, let's take a break. We'll be right back with more from Jeff Wright, Genesee County Drain Commissioner. All right, welcome back to Grand Blanc Watchdogs and the second half of our interview with Jeff Wright, Genesee County Drain Commissioner. You just now did state that even an updated system, even if we did the biggest thing, I guess updated just means biggest. There's no new engineering in the storm sewer world that's different from what they had in.
Well, there is.
Okay,
Very
stop. Wait,
briefly,
before you go a little, I want you to get into this so much, but what's the last time that sewer system in Grand Blanc that was overwhelmed, that is serving this low-lying subdivision, what year was that done, put in?
the original,
Yep, the one that we're working off now, that we still have. When's the
when it
last
was
time it
built,
was
and
done?
I believe that was back in the 30s and 40s.
Well, 1939 is the date that I've seen.
Yeah, but not every house was built in 39. Some
No,
of them
true.
were.
They've all been
It
built
was built. It was
since.
built in phases. So
So that
late
means
30s,
they
early 40s.
overwhelmed. So yes, houses were built and slowly overwhelmed what was adequate in 1939.
Well, that wasn't adequate. As a matter of fact, in 1939, there were no rules. There was no Drain Commission minimum standards for drainage purposes. It's whatever the township at the time allowed for.
All the more reason they need to be updated
I didn't
to
say it
your
didn't.
standards.
I didn't say it did. And updating it to our standards is approximately $8 million.
Exactly. And say what you said to me at the end of, we had this conversation earlier, folks. Tell me about how you're going to do the project. That's what you said to me. We
Yeah,
are
I
going
plan
to
on
do it.
moving forward with the project. The only reason we haven't moved any further is we have tried to find ways to reduce that $8 million cost.
And there,
And the best we've been able to do is if we were to purchase some of these houses that flooded in these holes where they shouldn't have been built in the first place.
excellent. That's
Well,
such a
just
good.
hold on. It's not necessarily excellent because number one, maybe the property owners don't want to sell. Number two, that we can only get the price down, the construction cost down to about 6.2 million, which is still a considerable amount of money. But we have been looking at ways to try to reduce the 8+ million. And we have, and that the latest that was done was last October, I believe. It was
Well,
last year,
my
2025.
opinion on that goes to the part that made you irritated with me earlier. You think I'm conflating the sanitary sewer project that they
Well, at
spent
the time
28
you
million
were.
on. Well, no, I wasn't, but I know the way I came across you thought I was. But no, I never conflate those two except to say that the investment was found for a sanitary sewer somewhere across the budgets, whatever program they applied for that does or doesn't exist, whatever amount of whatever, the funding was found for $28 million on that project. Now, this is a not sewer project, it's a drain project. It's separate. But if we should be okay to spend 8 million, the full amount to do it right. It doesn't, it's much less than we spent on that didn't benefit residents. And giving those flooded people that have been repeatedly flooded, their houses aren't worth, they're worth what you could pay them and they would be saved just a loss. So that's not a bad thing to buy up those houses from them.
Well,
That
maybe you can tell them sell me the houses at market value plus 10%.
I would think that would be a
I've been
worthwhile.
in these situations before. Many people are happy where they're at because they only flood maybe every 7, 8, 9
And
years
those people would be able to stay, right?
if they wanted to,
Yeah.
and they're still going to be assessed
Yeah.
for the cost of the project,
Well,
even if they
maybe
still
that's
flood.
the funding of it. I don't want to get into it because I think
Well, it's
that's
very important to the whole thing. You only want to tell part of the story.
no, it's not
And as
that
far as
it's
part of the conflation of the two, you wanted to make it sound like the township is coming up with all this money for the Kersley Creek Interceptor, but they
right.
won't come up with any money for this drain project.
Yes.
Where in reality, both of those projects are paid for by the people that utilize them. For instance,
Mm.
If it's a storm sewer project, it's paid for by special assessment by the property owners that benefit. If it's a sanitary sewer, it's paid for by the people on their sanitary sewer bill, not your general fund of the township.
Definitely not. I do understand that, yes.
So it's not the
It's not
same,
exactly
but it's
the
paid
same.
for by the people that benefit from it.
Yes, it is, but there are ways for the township to participate in those arrangements that
That
would
is,
be
I have no idea. I can't say yes or no to that. I don't
right.
know.
I know. I like hearing about the differences in the drains nowadays versus what they were in 1939.
Well, there was a design standard in 1939 that didn't exist. It was whatever the township was willing to let a developer do.
It was the Wild West. They did all
Pretty
kinds of
much.
bad things. And
Not just here, but all across the state.
yes. So this is an opportunity to come in and
As a matter of fact, the drain code that put laws into this came into existence. It's called, anybody can look it up, Public Act 40 of 1956. It was in 1956 when the state come in and created minimal laws so the drain commissioner could say, hey, you got to put a better system in before you build.
right.
And that's been upgraded since a couple different times. There's been amendments to it, but that's when it started, was in 1956. And the current standard is we want new drains designed to handle what they call a 10-year rain event. This rain event we just had exceeded a 10-year rain event.
Like it's even less likely than every 10 years.
That's correct. The rain event we had in 1986, the 18 inches of rain, that exceeded a 100-year rain event. In theory, it's only supposed to happen once every 100 years. It hasn't happened since. We've had some big rain events, but not 18 inches.
Right.
So the minimum standard that our county designs to is a 10-year rain event. Many counties are still at 5 years. So we've looked at different ways to improve that standard by putting in detention basins. We started putting in detention basins on all new developments starting in 1983. So if it's a new development, it's got some safety standards built into it.
Is it a ditch?
A detention basin?
Yeah.
No, usually it's a ponding area. It looks like a little wetland pond or a pond that's as part of the development. There might be multiple ponds as part of the development.
Is that better than a great big pipe that's buried?
In my opinion, in most cases, yes, because it reduces the diameter of the pipe you need, which reduces the cost. It also slows the amount of water down. It meters it out at a certain pace so it doesn't cause more water problems downstream.
I don't like the open water,
and then
though.
thirdly, it helps filter that water of whatever's running off from people's yards and roads and ditches. Now, you don't like them, but the state loves them because they consider them little wetlands.
Oh yeah, little wetlands, but it means mosquitoes, and then you have to spray, and it's
Well,
a
I
whole
don't
big
disagree
thing.
with any of what you're saying, but the bottom line is that's what the state prefers also.
Right, right, and I understand that too. But
in fact, they don't want you draining wetlands in this state.
right, well, you're not draining a wetland. You're not creating a new wetland
The other
with this
thing is
retention
if these ponds are built properly, they only have water in them during the rain event, and then they drain out ultimately.
Well, that's kind of what happened to all our yards.
It's not full of water year round.
What you said was it would enable you to not have to use such big pipe. And what that says to me is I'd like to have you use a bigger pipe and not have the open wetland thing formed. That sounds dirty to me, but
Yeah, well, that's an opinion.
I know
Everybody's
it's an
entitled to
opinion,
one.
and I'm entitled to one, and I'm not the drain commissioner, and I'm not an engineer.
I'm looking at the people in this one. It's a $2 million difference in what the people will have to pay for.
Well, we'll figure out who's paying for it. We'll figure that out. That's a part of the equation that I think is a political discussion, not getting the project up and going discussion. And we do sort of run aground on that
Well,
because
the state statute states categorical, and again, anybody can look this up. This isn't the
I look
county's
up the
rule.
statutes very nicely.
And in the statute, you'll find that it says the drain commissioner shall assess through special assessment the property owners that benefit from the drain.
And is there any other way to fund?
We've looked for different funding sources for years, whether it's a grant for creating wetlands or a grant to have
It's creating
conservation
wetlands
easements
is,
or any kind of
I
grants
don't
from the
know.
feds or the
I
state.
don't know. I'll look into that. A special
I do
assessment
know.
district would be worth it, especially the township could take on the debt. As a township,
That's not
say
as
this is
the
then
townships, any
well,
township, any city doesn't take on the debt for the project.
but
That debt
they
service is
could.
taken on by well, I don't know.
That's my question. That
That's
has
between
been my
you and them.
question.
If you can talk them into paying for it, great.
No, they took on debt to do another thing, and
But who's ultimately paying that debt back?
oh, that is true. You did say that. The people along the corridor. Our bills aren't going up to pay for the if you're not on that corridor and you're not Fenton, I
Everybody
mean the
that's
people
on
on Fenton Road aren't paying for that project.
everybody that's on the sewer system pays part of it.
The whole township wide sewer system.
That's correct.
And is the township wide sewer system assessed at different levels depending on usage?
On capacity.
I mean, the fees that people pay into the
It's
system.
the amount that the township paid is based on the capacity of the system that they wanted to have for their community. And see, there's other communities that are
But
involved with this.
you call it a special assessment district, and that implies that only the people in there are
For
on the
storm
debt.
drains. We're talking back and forth between sewer, sanitary, and storm drains, rainwater. They're
Okay, but
assessed out,
all
the
right,
costs are
we'll never
spread
get to the
differently.
bottom of this here because I do think that we sort of doubled back about that. The I understand that the debt system is geared, I guess, towards storm sewer, sanitary sewers, but you said it was because only the people on that specific project would be
The
paying
storm
for it.
sewer project.
No, I want the sanitary sewer project.
No,
I
that
was
is not
speaking
what I
of.
said.
Okay, what did you say?
Let's do them both again. The storm sewer project is assessed against the property owners that drain into it. The sanitary sewer is spread against the sanitary sewer customers of the community,
The whole community.
the whole community.
Okay. So but it's not conceivable that the township could take on a
I don't do
debt.
theoretics.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that I do theoretics, and I
well,
think about how
but
it
I
could be
don't,
done.
I can't do that for other
And
communities.
I
I
don't want
don't
you to
have both
do it.
sides.
Whatever I don't expect that from you. You know what I expect from you? A really, really good drain project for that part of our town. And it would be an excellent thing. And you say you can do it.
I said, we're going to do it
You said we're going to do it. Say that again. You're going to do it for us.
for the fourth time. We're going to build that drain.
I love it. Thank you. All right. Thank you for talking to me. It got a little testy. I do have one final question for you, Mr. Wright. Why now are we going to figure this out and find the money for it? What
Which
got you
project?
going on it now?
Which project?
This $8 million project.
It's not a now thing. We've been working on it since it was petitioned for. We worked on it most recently when we redid the engineering last year.
When was it first?
Listen.
When
We have over 120 of these projects working as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 7 people that are in that department that takes care of this countywide.
Mm-hmm.
When these projects are petitioned for and have the hearing, it usually takes 2 to 5 years from the time of the petition to the time of actual construction.
I know how special assessments work.
Some of them even longer,
Yes.
depending on if we got to get easements that can be held up in court for a year or two, et cetera, et cetera, et
I
cetera.
get that, but so it's not now, you're saying. It's been since 1939 that it was modernized and
No,
updated.
this project starts from the public hearing that was held to determine that it was necessary.
And that was when?
I don't have that in front of me.
Okay, but that was initiated by the township, correct? That was Scott
That was
Bennet coming to
initiated
you.
by the property owners through a petition.
Oh, they
to
did
have
do
a
it just
public
the
hearing.
same, just the same way you have to do it for your road. They
No,
did it for the drain system at that part of that little
it's a
project that we're
petition,
talking
yes,
about.
but the petition process is totally different than it is for roads.
Oh,
Roads, you need 51% of the people. Drain petitions, you don't need 51% of the people.
that's better. It's better. I that's something I'm lobbying for on the road front. Ease up on the people that have to gather the petitions to make this happen and pay for it. If they're doing all that, there shouldn't be a lot of petition passing that they have to do. They're paying for it and they want it, and it's a civic thing. Okay. So the good news from Mr. Jeff Wright, he intends to build this project and do it right. He is not saying tough luck unless you can pay for it. Is that
That's
correct?
We've never said that.
Never said that. You are going to do this. We are not going to leave those people in the state that they're in right now. It's going to get better in those neighborhoods.
We're going to make improvements to the system, and I'm just going to reiterate, no matter what we do to improve it, there are still the potential for some of those homes to have flooding.
Yes.
Because Mother Nature can outdo the design criteria that we put on these. If I tried to build a system that would take care of any kind of rain event that Mother Nature would throw at us, you would have the Grand Canyon down through the middle of that site and very few homes.
Say that if you did what? You would have a Grand Canyon down there?
If I tried to build a system that would take care of anything that Mother Nature threw at us,
it would be
I
miles.
would have to build a Grand Canyon,
Yeah.
and you'd have very few homes.
Yeah. Well, that we know. Okay, we can't. But how about this? I say, we are a high water table Michigan community with clay soil.
Clay soil has a lot to do with it, no doubt about
The
it.
percolation rate is very slow, and we're blessed with a high water table. So we're slightly more, perhaps majorly more flood prone than your average community in America, but we're hardly the New Orleans Bayou. We're not built on a swamp. It's not a swamp.
We don't have dikes protecting us.
We have what?
And we don't have dikes protecting us.
True.
And there are subdivisions that were built in what used to be swamps. In Genesee County.
Oh, it's terrible. And we have to try to help those people.
Long before there were rules to it.
Right. And that is a piece of history that we all got today, folks. It may be small consolation to those of you who are bailing out your basements, but I think that we got a great perspective on this from Mr. Jeff Wright, and I thank him very much for putting up with me.
Not a problem. Thank you.
Bye.
And goodbye to your listeners. Bye-bye.